Holiday, I'm still here because you know I got soul, baby.
Alright, Jay Holiday, so last project, Guilty Conscience, came out a little over a year ago, so just kind of reflect back on that project a little bit and, you know, all the work that went into that project.
Oh man, well it was first of all, it was my first independent project on Holiday Music Group. I did a joint venture for my first time. It went well, you know, I learned some things about the business actually that I didn't know in that process, but just the process going into making the music, man, I haven't gone for so long. I've been gone for maybe 4 or 5 years. So a lot of interviews that I had, a lot of people, like, they didn't know who I was. They, you know, they heard the songs and stuff like that, but they didn't know how personal those songs were to me and stuff like that. So I decided to make a real personal album.
Right, and between Round 2 and Guilty Conscience, that was about 4 or 5 years.
Right.
So do you feel like you kind of lost some momentum in that time because you came out with Bed, buzzing new artists, had a lot of great accolades, and then you took that time break. Do you feel like you lost some momentum there?
Definitely. Well, anytime you take a break in this industry, you lose momentum. But also, then, you know, social media's changed, the internet's changed. You know, a lot of things are more so what we used to call underground is just independent now. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I mean, momentum-wise, I mean, my core fans are still there. Like they love me, you know. So. In that sense, no, but, you know, according to what people are used to seeing, maybe.
Sure. And, you know, what I was really surprised by was the quality of your album. For most artists who go major to independent, it usually takes them an album or two to really figure out the direction they want to go in. And I think that's due to just they have so much on their mind as far as making sure that they take care of the marketing as well and all the other stuff. But you were able to put together an album that was high quality. So, you know, how did you kind of get to that process? What was that process like putting the album together?
Well, this is actually the first time that I decided to do an album using one executive producer, which all of the records came filtered in through that person, which was Ronnie Jackson, which that's out to him. That, I think, made the big difference. Not that the first 2 albums weren't high quality, you know, I was still learning a lot. You know, so one, I've learned things since from the first album to the 3rd album, just vocally. I learned a lot when it comes to recording and putting together, you know, quality music that people can say was heartfelt. You know what I mean? And just the process, man. We went in. I did the album in about maybe, let's say about maybe 4 months. I mean, it really didn't take me that long to record the records we kept, but we recorded obviously more records.
And what would you say was the biggest challenge putting that album together? You know, independent, you got to take care of everything. It's not just the music now. So,
the biggest challenge, man, is meeting the buyers. You know, buyers for different conglomerates. You know, just different places you need to get your album. And you know, for them, it's a money game and it's a numbers game. You know, so the break that I took probably hurt me in that aspect. When it came to, okay, well, why should we have your album in the store, you know, when Beyonce's coming out? And actually, she actually put her album out like right around that time, which she kind of took all that attention away. But those are definitely things that you have to think about. You have to worry about, okay, is Beyonce going to just throw an album out right now with 7 videos to go with it, you know, so that was just a learning process in itself.
Right. And of course, the quality of music was the same for you, but for you, did you kind of measure success the same once you went independent, or how do you kind of measure success now?
Man, I measure success by being able to still do it. You know, some people can't even get people to buy into their brand anymore to where they can get a complete album done. You know, as you see, a lot of artists are just putting out one song, EPs, you know, little short versions of what they really want to do, and I just didn't want to do that. I said, yo, I need to find whoever's going to be into my project and want to tell the story that I want to tell, and I didn't settle for anything less than that.
Right. And of course, on the major label, on Capitol, you had a chance to work with people like Rodney Jerkins, The Dream, Neil, and you told me on this project of your own, you chose your own executive producer, who was Little Ronnie. So, what made him, you know, your decision as to who the person that would lead you for this album?
Well, you know, it's just a little bit of business as well as just selection. You know, he's based in Atlanta. It was easy to get it done, and of course, ventured out to get different writers and different producers on it.
Right.
I actually had a chance to work with Jerry Wonder on the last track on the album, Heaven. So that was a big step for me, just to be able to get in the studio with Jerry Wonder. So I didn't necessarily get away from the names.
Yeah.
We just wanted to make sure that the names didn't have to be the reason why the album sold.
Right. And of course, with the album, I noticed it was still a Jay Holiday record, but it was a lot more grown. And you incorporated live instrumentation and all this stuff. Whereas a lot of the peers that you came up with, they're doing a lot of more hip hop driven type of tracks.
Right.
So what made you kind of go in that direction that you went in?
Because somebody has to keep the integrity of the music. Once you start taking those changes, your music changes forever.
Right.
You can never necessarily go back. You can only keep moving forward. So I've always tried to make sure that no matter what, the soul was felt in my music. So if you can't feel the soul, then that means I'm trying to be too hip hop. And I don't.
But would you ever consider, or did you ever consider going in that lane? Just because if you look right now, a lot of the hip hop R&B type of stuff is on the charts, whereas a lot of the traditional R&B stuff gets kind of thrown to urban AZ.
Honestly, I mean, for me, it's not to take away from the records that are out, but I do those type of records for my mixtapes. Like I just feel like if I want to be classified as a marquee artist that is standalone and I can stand by myself and sell this art, I would rather it be the music that I want to do versus the music that people tell me I should. So I feel comfortable staying where I'm at.
And you were talking about mixtapes and all that. Are you working on new music currently?
I am. Actually, we've been doing a lot of shows. That's another thing that you learn in the game. It's all about timing. Sometimes it's good to just keep pushing them out, and sometimes it's good to take that break and just figure out your, basically the distance of the next car in front of you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm working on a few things. I'm aligning myself with so many different projects. I'm getting into some TV stuff. So, between juggling the independent and TV and music, it's all merging together. But I'm definitely working on some new stuff.
Sounds good. And just to take it back a little bit, on your first album, your first single was "Be With Me."
Yeah.
And of course, after that came "Bed." Was there a reason why "Be With Me" was the first single?
Yeah. I mean, it was a great record. "Be With Me" was a great record. But even if you look at that, if you look at "Be With Me" and then you look at "Bed,"
right.
I had to do "Bed" to get noticed.
Yeah.
But a lot of people tell me that "Be With Me" was one of their favorite songs.
Right.
So then they put two and two together, like, oh, I didn't know that was the same person.
Right.
And then when they realize that, they're like, oh, he's a dope artist. So we went with "Be With Me" first because that's going to always be my core sound.
Right.
You know what I mean? "Bed," big shouts out to Dream, big shouts out to Chicky Stewart, and also Los. But those were just songs that I knew that people would love. They were great, infectious songs, and as you can tell, I still had a chance to incorporate my soul into it. So.
Alright, cool. And speaking of "Bed," one of the biggest songs of the 2000s, where do you think your career would be without that song?
Man, well, good thing I had Suffocate, so, I mean, I don't think it would be that much different, because "Bed Is Okay" went #1. They helped me get a #1 album, Grammy nomination, so, I mean, it helped a lot, it's a gift and a curse.
And of course, a lot of artists are going independent now, but it always gets such a negative type of perception because you're going independent. For you, was it frustrating for you? I'm sure you go on your Twitter and you see people say, "What happened to Jay Holiday?" And you're just like, "I just put out an album recently." Was that frustrating for you?
It's not necessarily frustrating for the comments. It's more so frustrating because I know the quality of the work that I did, and for them not to be able to hear it or not know about it, it's frustrating.
Right.
And not to say I'll never do the major thing again,
right.
But if I do it, it's going to be still independently driven, where they have to deal with the business setup that we have.
Well, and that's all that I got for you. Anything you'd like to add?
Man, just keep checking me out, man.